Great. We have a quorum, right? Yes. All right, welcome everyone. So before I start the meeting, I'll ask BJ to read out the protocols.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a reminder to all those in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the town's YouTube. For those in the room, it is important that you remain quiet unless being involved in the current discussion. Those over Zoom, it is asked that you keep your camera off and microphone muted unless involved in the discussion. If you are on Zoom and wish to speak, then please turn on your camera and your microphone. If this meeting is interrupted for any reason, we will send out a new link via email. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, BJ. So we're going to have a special session of the council for which we have public tree removal recommendation by the town arborist as a consent agenda item, as we've now started doing. So do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the town council special council meeting?
When do I, okay, I would like to amend that to add we would like to, we have a new committee member to the Public Service Committee, Bertie Piagenik. And we'd like to put that at the consent agenda. We lost one person from the Public Services Committee and we're replacing that person with Bertie.
Do I have a second to add that?
Second.
Okay, very good. Any discussion on these two consent agenda items? I don't think there is discussions for this. Yes.
We approve the amendment, okay.
Yes, very good. We approve the amendment to the agenda. That's the first thing we did. And with that, the two items are approved. Very good. Thank you very much. So now we will move into, do I need to make a motion to close the special session? Okay, so let's just move straight to the work session then. Thank you. All right. Before I move to the work session, I understand, Steve, you need to leave a little bit early today?
Yes, I have a Glen Echo.
Okay,
meeting.
what time do you need to go? Just so that we plan accordingly.
6:15, 6:20.
All right. So what we will do then is, obviously we have the building report anyway first. We have the discussion on the potential amendments to the building code, which, by the way, is just only one item left, which is the recommendation from the town attorney regarding continuation of hearings. I believe it is. It's recommendation number 7 from the June 22nd memo. All the others we included in the amendment that was adopted by the council at its last meeting. So this is the last item left on that. And so in order to ensure that we have Steve here, I would like to suggest that we do the building report by the town permit administrator first. Then we will move to the potential amendment to the building code. As I said, that's only recommendation 7 left to do. And then we'll move to the town manager's report, et cetera, et cetera. Is that order okay?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, good. Thank you. So with that, I'd like to invite Steve Serko to answer any questions, because I said we don't ask him to summarize anything. It's all there. Everyone, I presume, has read it. If there are any questions for Steve at this time, please let me know. No questions to Steve. All right. Anybody? Any council member online? Melinda, do you have any questions for Steve on the building? No, she dropped off. She dropped off. Okay.
You're having some like technical issues for her traveling.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, so if there are no further questions for Steve on that, then we can move on to the next agenda item that.
Before we go,
Yes.
sorry. I thought we approved last time around, when, for the 5-year, albeit here, fence wall, business 50% or more complete existing fence or wall within 5 years in one of the yards. Is the definition that we're using. I thought we'd approve or since you owners acquired the property, which you're very soon. That's not in here.
That's not in, we're talking about the building permit administrator's report.
But right, yes, we are, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so Right, so now we move to the revisions, potential revisions to the building code. At the last council meeting, we went through all the recommendation, the last work session. We went through the whole list of recommendations. And at the July 6th council meeting, we introduced the code amendments, which basically went all the way up to recommendation 6. All of those should be reflected in a revised version that will go to the council for adoption at its next meeting. The one that we never had the time to discuss was recommendation 7, which has the heading pre-hearing motions. And Ron, can I ask you to introduce that recommendation for the council's benefit? Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so it's very rare that it happens, but occasionally an applicant or a neighbor will ask for a variance hearing to be continued, either because they want more time to review the application or their professionals aren't available for the date in question that's scheduled for the hearing. So we thought that might be something, although rarely occurring, to address in the code. And if you'll recall, I think the last time this happened, it was with respect to a property on Grantham, and the neighbors wanted to appear for the hearing but were traveling. And so they submitted a pre-hearing request for continuance. And as a practical matter, it's difficult for the council to rule on pre-hearing motions or requests because the Open Meetings Act provides, with respect to permit reviews and variances, discussions have to be on the record so that the council really can't convene outside of a public meeting in order to review a pre-hearing request. So in the past, it's been our practice to advise the applicant that, sometimes we'll do our best to try and poll the council and get individual votes. Otherwise, if that's not possible because time doesn't permit or for some other reason, then the request will be heard at the outset of the hearing. And reviewing such a request at the outset of the hearing is sometimes problematic because if someone can't be there, then that puts them in a bind, not knowing whether the request is going to be granted or not. So one suggestion I had was we could put something in the code that provides, if time allows, the mayor, on behalf of the town council, may rule on any pre-hearing requests for continuances or similar procedural matters. That way the council could delegate the authority to the mayor to rule on pre-hearing procedural matters. And that would help staff avoid the difficulty of either telling applicants your request isn't going to be heard until the day of the hearing, or trying to individually solicit a response from all the council members. And often that happens like a week before the hearing, which is very difficult to do. That's my overview. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ron. So before I turn to the council members, Steve, did you want to add anything on this particular point?
No.
Okay, thanks. And can I just ask for clarification? So this would go into section 112.10, hearing and decision on application?
So I was thinking to put it under 112.14G, which is variance procedure, and then it would be a new number 8. So the new number 8 would say, if time allows, the mayor, on behalf of the town council, may rule on any pre-hearing requests for continuances or similar procedural matters.
Very good. Thank you, Ron. So let me open it up. Shannon, yes.
Would some of this be already kind of bundled into us providing more notice for building permits and such, because a lot of times the variances kind of come with building permits, and that would give us more notice because we have to have it, at least 30 days out?
So yeah,
Proposed, yeah.
building in more time may certainly help, but still, I could see situations where someone might have a vacation scheduled. You know, if a neighbor has a vacation scheduled, or you know, in the
Oh, and they
last
just
case we
can't
had
be
it
there.
right.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Debbie?
How does that affect the other party, and I remember in the Levine case, it was really two neighbors, two neighbors issues. And I wonder if we look at that again, does this hurt anybody? Does it hurt the person like in that case that wanted to build? So I don't know.
Yes, yeah, it is potentially prejudicial to one of the parties, and you know, the applicant, of course, wants to move things along, and another month may delay and add costs to the project. And so, with respect to the last time this came up, I think the council members individually weighed whether the person requesting the continuance actually had the fair opportunity to present their case at the hearing. In weighing the equities and the potential for prejudice on all the parties, and in that case, the council found that the applicant could still present their views in writing or attend remotely, so that request for continuance was denied. So the mayor would go through this similar type of review and decide whether the equities, whether fairness, dictates a continuance or not.
Thanks.
Okay,
Debbie, any
I'm
follow-up? Yeah. Robin?
Yeah, I mean, all this does is move to the mayor this relatively simple decision whether to grant continuance or not. Obviously, it can be prejudicial as Ron pointed out, but the mayor is capable of balancing that. If we don't do that, then it's just polling of individual council members, which really is an unsatisfactory process. Frankly. So therefore, I support the idea of building it into the code where the mayor makes the decision.
Okay, thank you. Are Erlinda or Kabir on?
You're not related.
Erlinda, did you have any questions for Ron or any other points to make to a council member?
I do not, but I'm listening here, but thank you for asking, but I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Erlinda. Okay, so if there are no further discussion on that, so I think there is definitely consensus to go ahead with that text. So we will then bring back to the council at the next council meeting an introduction of this amendment for future adoption. So I think that's clear. Thanks very much, Ron.
My pleasure.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to now, town manager's report is next on the list. Questions for EJ's town manager's report. Floor is open. Any?
Okay.
Looking around?
I just have one question, if that's
Yes,
okay.
please.
Thank
Please
you.
go
Yeah,
ahead, Erlinda.
well, first, actually, just a statement about the speed bumps. I'm glad they're getting repaired because I know they've been causing a lot of stress and damage to cars and just in general. But it still says on the spreadsheet that something about waiting to be funded or something of that ilk. I'm just a little bit confused about that as I see that the repairs are happening, but there's something about the fine that still seems like it's not been settled or something about that. Can we just get some clarification on that?
Yeah, that is a mistake that I will fix, and then I will circulate an updated report with the correct number of funds submitted.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is that the
Ken?
same for the town entrance beautification? Because I thought that we had approved that plan like
Long
2
ago.
years ago or 3 years ago.
Long ago.
Yeah.
In this particular project, I'm not kind of sure what was approved 2 years ago. I know this is a current plan that's being developed for the entrances. There was like as part of the Town of Somerset Sustainable Landscapes Operations and Maintenance Manual, which was approved about 2 years ago. Some of the entrances were covered, and that was kind of cataloged as a different project. This town entrance beautification is covering the entrances that weren't approved 2 years ago.
So, but have we made any progress on the entrances that were approved 2 years ago? I thought we were getting like a new sign.
We have, and we are gonna be making, new progress as, the Town of Somerset Sustainable Wayscapes Operations and Maintenance Manual has been complete, which has a guide on the proper upkeep and maintenance and beautification of those entrances.
So I think, just, I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page as everybody else. My understanding of the word committed does not refer to a council approved budget. It refers to a commitment made through a contract. So the question is, have we contracted, have we obligated, have we spent any money on this yet? So the answer to that question is, for this fiscal year, nothing has been spent yet. So where are we on this? What EJ and I are discussing is that Groundsmiths Collective was contracted last fiscal year to prepare this Town of Somerset Sustainable Landscapes Operations and Maintenance Manual. Now, the next step with Groundsmiths Collective are the following. One is that they will work with our maintenance staff, Thomas and Jose, to train them on the application of the manual. That training is scheduled for the first week of August. What EJ and I are now exploring is moving on to the next phase of contracting Groundsmith Collective. They have only in this manual, they have only focused on that entrance at Dorset and Wisconsin. And what we have said is that now we would like to expand your work to look at all the other entrances of Somerset. So that will be in their next contract. And that contract will also have a provision, which we are discussing, to have Groundsmiths Collective to meet monthly with Thomas and Jose to make sure that we're on track with whatever the plan is with that. So that there is, I wouldn't say supervision, but we have a professional landscape architect who is overseeing and advising our maintenance staff with respect to the parks and the entrances. So this is basically where we are. So at this point, no money has been spent because we're still discussing with them the scope of this contract.
Question,
Robin.
It's really two questions. One is on the ARPA funds that are remaining. I
Oh,
see
yes.
associated with 3 different projects. How confident are we that they are on schedule for those projects?
Very, all the projects are, involving ARPA funds are currently on schedule.
And does that include full bridge restoration?
Yeah. So I think, Robin, you had asked this question last time also, Bharata. So can I suggest that, EJ, over the next few minutes while we're here, can you go into your documents and give Robin, we can come back to this in a few minutes to give you some time. We can go into your documents and give Robin a specific number.
Yeah.
Here's how much is left in ARPA, and here's what it is going to be used for, so that you know exactly what it is. Yeah. So why don't you just take a few minutes to do that? Yeah, thank you. Any other questions on the town manager's report? Okay, so I think we are done with that agenda item, which then moves us to the report on committee activities. So let me just introduce this very quickly. I've added this as a standing item on our work session because I think it's important to have a more sort of structured link between the committees and the council going forward. So we have council liaisons with the committees, and I want to use these whatever minutes are set aside in every work session just to get an update. That it's if there's nothing to report, there's nothing to report. But if there is something that you would like to share with your fellow council members as to what various committees are looking at, what kinds of issues they're grappling with, I think it's a good opportunity for everybody to hear, because you each are liaisons to your individual committees, and there might be some commonalities. Also, I think it's certainly, are there any committee chairs on the
More of a small.
Okay, so, you know, of course, if I'm happy to have a committee chair also report in if they wish. So
I can start.
you want to start?
can
Okay, so
start.
Debbie, why don't you start with the committees? that
Our
you-
meeting had, you know, a long list of things.
You want to
so
just say which
let-
committee?
I'm sorry, it's pool committee.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I can put it all together quickly. Just, we reported on the summer so far that it's going well. We have a wonderful stroke and turn program that is really proving to be very popular. We had a talk about, you know, having back-in signs at the parking spots. We see that as important. We had a very robust conversation about food at the pool. And, you know, there's been some, you know, people wanting to eat in places they shouldn't eat. So with that, I took that to Helen and I asked her, what are the county rules? And the county rules are no food 6 feet from the pool. And she asked me if I would please make sure that we don't change the food rules at the pool. She said it will make it very hard on the staff. That right now they keep it under control where the food is. And I told her I would work hard to keep that, you know,
So sorry, are our Somerset pool rules more lenient than
no,
that?
they're not. No, our pool
Or
rules
it's
are
just
clear.
silent?
Our pool rules are clear that there is no food except under the what's that called? But you know, the building one and up above on the grassy area where the tables are. Those are our rules. They're very clear. And so she just asked me to see if we could keep it that way. And I said that I agreed with her and I'd be happy to make that case, you know, at our next meeting. And Justin had a meeting with her as well. And Linda had a meeting and I think they heard the same things. So it was just, you know, we talked about the swim-a-thon coming now past, the Town Olympics, which were a great success, I have to say. And one of the things I'm going to bring up at our next pool committee meeting is to talk about in the end, after the end of the season, is to change the pool rules that when we have a weather event like we had this past weekend, what are the rules with opening and closing the pool? Does code red mean we close it? Well, I think so, but you know, we'll have to debate that, but to have that clear, so we never go through what we did last Friday night. So that's kind of where we are.
Thanks, Debbie.
You're welcome.
China?
So I had a piece of paper with all my notes on it, and I forgot to bring it, so.
Your dog ate your homework.
Totally, so I'm gonna do it from memory. And, so we had our first committee meeting with Leslie, Kaplan and, the new communications committee,
Yeah,
which is
community
rolled
engagement
in, wait, what's it called?
Community engagement, yeah. Yeah.
Community engagement committee. And it was good. Right now, we are working on trying to find a collective time for us to meet in the future. And we are also working on, I think part of the plans are gonna really involve a calendar of events that we can have on our website and we can post everywhere, and so that everything's kind of collected as one. And then in addition to that, the most urgent issue is just making sure that Phyllis and a newcomers party, which is rolled into this new committee, has enough, you know, to make sure that the newcomers party goes off without a hitch. So that's what they're working on. And then for tennis, they haven't had a meeting, little time taken off for the summer. And they are working on more resident engagement with the tennis committee. For example, Carl London wants to organize something where, you know, maybe there's kids can drop in and play with other kids. And, you know, same thing with, I think that we hosted or we did something with the Edgemore. We were part of it. We had our own tennis team and kind of creating more opportunities that revolve around having tennis events for our residents.
Thanks, yeah. I mean, that's something I also discussed with with Carrie Warford and with Carl is I think pool is so much the center of life in Somerset, and sometimes we forget there's also the possibility of tennis. It may never be able to match the pool, but the tennis committee should really try to make these courts, as you say, much. We should have more events there that bring children and the semi amateurs out on the courts regularly. So I'm glad that they're talking about that. Thank you.
Yes.
Great. Okay, good. So just one thing, we're okay on the newcomers welcome party. The date's been fixed. Yes,
The date
we
is
have enough volunteers.
September 27th.
Okay.
It's the same time as the
Well,
dog
well,
swim.
it's the same day as the
Or I
dog.
mean, it's the
Same
same
day as the
day.
dog.
Yes. I told Phyllis that the
And the
newcomers
dog
party
swim
will have
is-
to end in time for the dog swim. Yeah. There should be a 2 hour gap between the two.
Okay.
No, you can let the newcomers experience dogs.
Oh, yeah, they're.
Yeah.
What day did you say that was? The 21?
The 27th
Okay.
of September
Yeah.
on
Okay.
a Sunday.
Important day for all of our calendars, so we should all make sure that.
Right,
it's set on our
right.
calendars. Good. Thanks very much, Shannon. Robin.
Yeah, Parks Natural Resources and Environment Committee has not yet met. I have met with the committee chair, who is busy trying to find time to hold the meeting over the summer, which is a little challenging.
Not easy. Yeah, good.
Do you want anything on the CCCFH?
Yes, I was going to turn to that next.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Okay, good. Thank you, Robin. So I think this is a good time to have any updates on our external engagement committees. So maybe Debbie, since you are
Okay.
our representative on the Citizens Coordinating Committee for Friendship Heights,
Yes.
which is particularly important given Geico parcel development and so on, that we can get an update on that.
Okay, on the Geico end, there is a lot of stress about that. The CCCFH members are not happy with what it appears to be happening up there, and it's not clear. The Friendship Heights, the Village of Friendship Heights, I think will be suing them. They're working on a lawsuit now. So I don't have a lot to say yet. They have had walking tours of the Geico area. EYA, I guess, has done that. And I think we'll hear more about that probably next month, okay? The other issue that we talked a lot about was DOT wants to put a crosswalk on Willard Avenue. So if you can close your eyes and kind of see it, they want it when you turn left on River Road and begin to go up, there's a bend in the road. And that's where they would like to put the crosswalk. I have objected to that, but interestingly, the houses around there love it. And people are really into a crosswalk there. And I made the point is that we should not be talking about this now. Geico needs to do its plans. We need to know where their egress and their driveways are. And then we should talk about a crosswalk. My point was that the crosswalk should be closer to the old Irene, that people park their cars there and they run across the street. But I don't know that this is a fight I personally am going to win. The housing people that live closer to River Road in those houses, they really love this idea. It takes them right to that park. What's that park called?
The Willard Avenue Park.
Yeah.
The one on River Road.
The one on River
Yeah,
Road.
Willard Avenue.
Anyway, so the neat thing is that DOT wants to meet with us. And we will have a meeting with the guy in charge. And he wants to hear what we have to say and walk the street with us and the cross and all that. So stay tuned on that. I think there'll be a lot more with that in another month as well. And they talked about the bike lanes on whatchamacallit, what's the big street, Western. And that seems to be a little on hold as well, but I don't put a lot of faith in that. We're not going to get bike lanes on Western Avenue. So that's where we are.
Thanks. And sorry, go ahead, Shannon. Yes.
Oh, when you're done, I have Erlinda's update.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead to the Linda's update? Yeah.
Okay. The development committee meeting has met twice. Steve Circo gave an excellent presentation to everyone about our codes and all requirements and how ours are different than MoCo. And Bob Sternberg created a work plan for the year. And then she suggested that Kumar Vaswani could maybe update the Public Works Committee. Public Safety Committee.
Yeah, okay.
Public affairs.
Yeah,
I,
okay.
I obviously I need a chart that.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll give you an org chart,
We do need,
like any good government agency to have.
all right.
Okay, so is Kumar Vaswani on?
Yes.
Kumar, what you want to give us an update on the Public Services Committee?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. So I didn't really come prepared to speak, but I will say that the new Public Services Committee will meet for the first time this Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom, and we plan to meet tentatively 6 times during the coming year, which is 20% more than we met last year. I think we met 5 times last year. We've got a number of potential issues to work on. One of which you might be discussing tonight. We've also got, and that's the situation on Devon. We have a number of outstanding issues, and by outstanding, I don't mean excellent or exciting. I mean issues that we've already
The other outstanding.
submitted recommendations on and are kind of awaiting council action. So there's probably some follow-up needed for those, but that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, great, thanks. Any questions for Kumar?
Thank you for
Um,
doing that, Kumar. Sorry, I was in the middle of something. I appreciate that. And Shannon did a great job. It's just, again, our committee has met twice now, as you mentioned. Bob's done a great job of putting together a work plan. We had a great presentation by Steve Circo, who basically gave us like how our codes work, codes 101, I want to call it, and how our, some of our codes may be more stringent than those that Montgomery County has. So it's been a really good introductory 2 meetings, and the work plan, I guess, is being shared, via Google Share, so we can see how the plan is for the rest of the year. But I just wanted to say that. But thank you again, Kumar, for communicating right there, and then Shannon too. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Erlinda. Okay, so I think we have the updates from the committees. We'll take a pause here, moving on the agenda, just to come back to the ARPA. EJ has circulated that. If anyone has any questions or wants to take a quick look at this, any questions for EJ? Of course, you can always send questions in writing later on, but if we want to have a collective discussion on that.
The only question is any worries. That's what it was about, because the funds disappear,
I don't have any worries.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so with that, we will move on to the item on proposal submitted by the Public Services Committee, the Public Safety Committee. It was originally from them. And you remember that memo was in 2 parts. One was focused really on something that we discussed a little bit earlier, giving sort of neighbors adequate time and, increasing the amount of time for hearings as well, which we took care of in the discussion on code amendments. This one is going to focus on the recommendations to address parking issues related to construction and other commercial activities. So I will open the discussion. Debbie, do you want to go first?
Sure,
on
I'm happy
this,
to go
and then we'll
first.
around the table.
I've spent a lot of time reading this now twice, okay? It's a little dense, but I'm not sure we should be considering this. In all due respect to the committee, who has done an incredible job putting this together, I think that there's only one item in here that we should discuss, if at all. Because I think most of what's in here should be the town staff should work on and make decisions and decide how to move forward. I can take apart my thoughts if we get into a conversation about it. I think the only real issue here for us to talk about is the no parking on Dorset till 9 a.m. I think that is really that's more a council issue. I think the rest are not council issues. So that's where I am. I can answer any questions more where I think about this, but I just wonder what those of you, what the rest of you think about this and my idea.
Okay, thanks, Debbie. Shannon?
I agree with Debbie, and I just don't really think that it's feasible to have a ticketing system by the town staff to run out at 10 minutes within, to have someone, who makes a violation, nor would I want any of our town staff like engaged with angry people parking illegally, I also, I don't also really think that we should change the parking structure rule for Dorset. I think we should keep it where it stands now. This street, it's always been busy, and obviously the buses for school go up and down, and I drive up and down that street. I understand it's a very challenging street to maneuver. I do think it also has a traffic calming effect, in terms of people using our neighborhood for a cut through, because it is so challenging to get around. And I think that that if people have to have work done on Dorset, or are building houses, or doing any kind of work on their house, like to have that street have a separate time where people can start, to me just doesn't seem fair for residents who are trying to get stuff done on their houses, and who need to kind of go on with their lives too.
Thank you, Shannon. Robert?
Yeah, we have a chapter in our town code on parking, and this is proposing amendments to that chapter in essence. On the other hand, I do agree that it would be good to hear from town staff on what they think on the feasibility of these changes, because they do add substantial work to town staff. So that would be a useful thing before we consider it here. I had some thoughts on one of the mysteries is, why did you leave off Beale Avenue from your safety zones? Because that was strange to me. But anyway, that was just.
I agree. I was like, that should totally
That should be
on
there,
yeah.
that was strange. And I've also commented on the 2 flag people previously, which requiring traffic warning signs to state 1 lane ahead, okay, as well as 2 flag people. 2 flag people bring 2 cars. It just makes the situation worse. So think seriously about that. But as I said, I'll share my comments with the town staff, and they can react.
Okay, great, thanks. Linda? Still on? I know she had to go somewhere.
If she's on, can I make another comment?
Yeah, of course, no,
I-
you'll have a discussion.
I didn't know we were going to be discussing Dorset Avenue. I thought I was just throwing it out there, but since we are.
Yeah.
I want to remind everyone, we are a small neighborhood and we need to be thought of as welcoming and not welcoming. And I think that since we're all adults, we can work these problems out. If there is a truck that is parked on a hydrant, then, somebody needs to knock on the door where they're working and say, move your truck. If it's a truck is on the wrong side of the street and it's getting in the way, we need to say, go to the other side of the street. And, I think all those things are doable, and I think we can work this out. We've done it all these years, and we're going to keep on building here. And I think we just have to find a way to accommodate our neighbors and each other.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn over to EJ, and I'll just say one thing before I turn over to EJ. I think as Robin alluded to, and as Debbie's mentioned, we already have rules. The fact that these recommendations have come suggest that these rules are not easy to enforce. The solution to that is rarely adding more rules. You know, it's to think through how you're going to simplify the application of the existing rules or strengthen your capacity to deal with existing rules. So this is the only point I'll make is that, you know, I understand the frustrations from where this is coming. I understand the safety concerns that's coming, but it's unlikely to be a problem that requires more rules in Somerset. It requires, as you say, a different way of doing things, of finding, you know, some sort of solution that matches our town capacity. We don't have a police force and so on and so forth. So with that, I'm going to turn over to EJ to specifically answer also the question that Robin raised regarding, you know, what are the views of the town staff on practicality.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's sort of begin. I'll just kind of cover what I believe the administrative burden would be and staff with these recommendations. And frankly, it would be a heavy burden on additional staff. Sort of echoing what the mayor said, is we are very small staff that is doing a lot. And unfortunately, that means that not everything is enforced as much as it should be, including parking. This is obviously not an issue, and I agree with the Public Safety Committee or now Public Services Committee about that. But these recommendations as written would put a heavy burden on the staff, especially the parking safety program, which is recommendation number 5. The idea of a good faith effort to find violators within 10 minutes of a report and to do the various follow-up things that requires. I do know that there is some concern about compiling the information and publishing it in the town journal every month, specifically if that includes actual things like types of cars and everything, as that could be considered sort of a public shaming in a way, which may not go over well with certain residents. Training certification of town staff, that is burdensome just because the county is in charge of these training and certifications, and actually they don't really like giving it to non-police. So I don't actually even know if they would allow, for example, the county clerk and deputy town manager to take that training. I know that other managers have tried and have had difficulty doing that. And then doing any sort of public education program would, of course, be a big lift for the town staff to set up. And so those are kind of the main administrative burdens that this would comply with. And then in terms of the building and construction sites, this is something that is already being discussed via the memo of me, Steve, and Ron. So this does kind of go along with that. And these recommendations are different than staff's recommendations. And so I think that's definitely something that the council would need to discuss. I can provide more detail if you.
Okay, thanks, CJ. Robin, you want to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I just really support Debbie that, I mean, we in our own home have frequently talked to various different folks who have parked in front of our driveway, blocked our access and so on, and they've all been very amenable to moving their cars and getting out of the way, and it never involved the town. So I strongly encourage other people to do the same. They usually are very responsible.
But I mean, if someone is parked in my driveway or whatever, I mean, can't I just call the police?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, or 311.
You can,
or
but talk to
whatever.
the person, you know.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but like, if you
You
don't
can,
feel
yeah.
comfortable talking to the person
Yeah,
or
no, you
whatever.
can.
You don't know who it is.
Yeah,
Or you don't know who it
you
is,
can
you know,
call
you
police,
can
yes,
call.
yes.
And, you know, the only thing that I would say is that, I know you guys have kind of done these audits, but just making sure that we have like clear signage about, you know, not parking on the other side of the street.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if we're allowed to just like, but those signs that say, or come here when you get towed. They seem to work for me.
Even if it's a bluff.
You know, like,
yeah.
like, oh,
So
it's
one of-
towed, call
Yeah.
this number.
Yeah.
I'm
So
like,
one of the things we are doing is that the traffic group consultancy does include the assignment to look at all the signs in Somerset. So we need to make sure that they are at the right height, that they are at the right distance from each other. So one of the things, for example, we discussed with them is that, someone could park on the no parking side, and in some places could legitimately say, I didn't see the no parking sign because it's such and such feet away from where I've parked. So the traffic group is checking to make sure that there are standards for all of these things. So we want to make sure that every street has a no parking sign at the correct standard, at the correct height, so it's fully visible. On Uppingham, for example, there's a no parking sign that's, I'm not kidding, I think it is 4 feet from the ground on a utility pole. That is clearly not even in compliance with anything. So I think we need to fix all of these. We are, in fact, working on a what we call a gentle nudge, which is we have a flyer that we're going to prepare, and whenever we see somebody park illegally, we put the flyer on their windscreen. It'll just simply say that you're in a no parking area, and it's a violation of our code, and if it happens again, something.
Better luck
Which
next time.
which I is it's a gentler way to do these things than, say, ticketing and enforcement, because I agree with you, ticketing and enforcement is really not something that we want to go down that path. With respect to construction sites, however, we actually do have a pretty strong tool, which is the stop work order, right? If we see repeated violations, we don't need a code amendment for this. The mayor already has the authority for repeated violations to be subject to a stop work order. So, and it's, that's the most likely place where there will be trouble so I think we have what we need. We just need to figure out a way in which, we can address these frustrations. One of the things, for example, we did in May, second half, it was the second half of May, early June, was I had Wayne Fowler, our code enforcement officer, actually on Dorset from 8 to 9 a.m. every morning. So that if there were trucks parked, if there were cars parked illegally, when the school buses come through, he was there on the ground every day. And what's astonishing is, for those 2 weeks, actually, there was not a single problem. So he gave us a report every day on what the situation was. But when school reopens after Labor Day or in August, we'll do the same again, just to make sure that if there are issues, we have somebody there. We have a code enforcement officer on our payroll. We might as well have him do precisely this if this is a concern of many residents. I think with that.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
yes.
another thought, which is to use a sort of similar gentle approach, which is actually to paint parking spaces in the town, showing that people can park, which would illustrate to anybody who doesn't park in them that they know at that point that they're not parking in the right place. So it's another hint to people that.
Yeah. I think, of course, as many of you know, we had the entire length of Dorset on the no parking sign painted yellow, despite that this was happening this past year. So I mean, but anyway, I think the traffic group is looking into all of these things regarding parking, better parking signage, better parking awareness, no parking awareness, and what are all the tools that are there in the field. Okay, so my sense is that this would not move forward.
Right.
In a sense, we'll table this for now, and we'll
Can I
look
just,
for alternatives. Yes, go ahead.
it just is, I don't know, Kumar, if you're still on,
Okay.
I just want to thank you. I know how hard you worked on this, and I always hate to turn you down, but I hope you'll understand and continue to work with us in the same spirit that you always do. because I think we all appreciate you. So thank you.
Yeah. Kumar, do you want to say a few words? I mean, you've heard the concerns of council members and, but you know, as a matter of dialogue, I want to make sure that you get a chance to have your say as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate the council having a good discussion on this. Just a couple quick things and then one question. One is there is a reference to public shaming. That's never been our intent, and I think that might be reading a bit too much into our recommendations. All we were asking for was statistics on, you know, numbers of complaints, number of times the town staff responds, and so on. Stop work orders was mentioned, and I was a bit perturbed by the town attorney's, no offense, but I was a bit perturbed by his response that stop work orders slow down construction. And if that's the case, then why have a stop work order provision in the code at all? So we rarely ever issue stop work orders unless permit expires and the permit holder keeps working. But I've never seen a stop work order for any other reason given. And so I think that should be a valid, recourse if there's a problem with violating the terms of a parking plan. And then third, on the parking plan, again, I was a bit disturbed that there's a proposal to eliminate the requirement for a parking plan, and not just eliminate it, but really eliminate the opportunity for public comment regarding a parking plan. Because, if you have a public hearing and the parking plan is in the application, that gives residents the opportunity to express concerns about it and highlight any peculiarities of that particular street. You move it into the administrative side of things and say we're going to have a parking plan after the permit's approved. That basically eviscerates the public's ability to influence that parking plan. And then finally, just a question. Can we get at least statistics on how many times the town staff actually goes out to the scene when there's a complaint about a truck parked on the wrong side of the street? Because I know it's happening. I know the town staff, Wayne Fowler does go to those incidents, and it would be nice just to know how many times and how often it's happening. So those are just my questions and the one comment. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So let me just take up a couple of things on this. I mean, I agree with you on the stop work order. I mean, for sure, I can assure you that if there are repeated problems at a site, I intend to exercise that authority. Stop work orders. I want to state this very clearly that if we do have that, it will happen. So on the question of the parking plan, the council discussed this at a prior work session. It was introduced at the last council meeting. It will be in the amendments that will be at the time of adoption. My suggestion is that at the public comment period at the next council meeting, if you wish to raise this again, please do so, and council members can, of course, at that time amend. I believe correct me, town attorney and town manager, I'm wrong. I believe at that time, council members can make a motion to amend based on that. But I think they've heard you, but this is probably not the place to be discussing something that's has already been introduced and is slated for adoption at a next council meeting.
Yeah, and the proposal is not to eliminate the parking plan. It's to allow it to be imposed as a condition of permit approval, which is the current practice.
Right.
Currently, parking plans are not submitted in advance with applications as the code provides.
Yeah. I think what the chair of the committee is saying is that by I think their recommendation in this memo was in fact to bring it further forward as part of the hearing on a permit application so that the public has the opportunity to comment on the parking plan, whereas the current draft, as I understand it, can make it a condition of the permit, and then it's administratively handled by, I guess, the mayor, town manager, and that reduces the opportunity for public input to such a parking plan. I think that's the point he's making, and I think it's definitely, I see the point, and I think it's up to the council at the next meeting to hear that and determine what to do about it. Okay, I think there was also this question on data, on how many times. I think this should not be too difficult to do. Is to do that. I would prefer not to have to make this a standing report kind of thing, because this really becomes busy work at some point. I think that if we at some point we can have a work session discussion on parking. We'll put that forward as to how many times the code enforcement officer or the town hall staff has had to respond to these. Especially now that there is a citizen sort of resident request center, the app and so on, it actually becomes even easier to track these things. But my plea is not to make this into a standing reporting requirement. Every month you must have data on this and that. That's a lot of work to put on a very small staff. Because it will not be the only thing that people will want data on at some point. So, all right, with that, let me then move on to the last item on the agenda, which is a letter submitted by 3 households who are on Devon Lane. And as you see, it's a request for vehicle size, weight, and speed restrictions on Devon Lane. Let me open up the discussion in council members' reactions to this and suggestions on where to go from here. I understand that the Public Services Committee will presumably also discuss it, but
I'm happy to
Debbie,
start.
yeah, why don't you kick off, Debbie?
I read this and I'm kind of scratching my head, because if we don't let trucks go on Devon Lane, how are they going to get off of Cumberland? They're not going to be able to turn around. So if you can't make a U-turn, especially if you're maybe if you're a small truck, you can make a U-turn, but you can't make a U-turn with a big truck. So I guess my question would be, what do we do to shore up Devon Lane so it is acceptable for the trucks that need to be there? I wouldn't want to make this a thoroughfare, but you get a big furniture delivery, you're doing some work on your house, and the big truck that comes with the lumber comes. What are you supposed to do? He's got to get out. Can't back up.
Well, and also, I mean, I think that the top part of Cumberland and Warwick is not usable during, that hour leading to school and after school. They shut down the alleyway.
It's supposed to be
And
one
so
way.
I don't know, again, it really leads to like, where would these cars go?
Well, for them, the proposal is only trucks, is that they basically would like, as you know, for example, Warwick Lane between Drummond and Cumberland has a no truck, it has a restriction there. It's rarely complied with. I've seen many trucks go through there, and I think they would like that replicated on Devon Lane. So just like there are no trucks on Warwick Lane, no trucks on Devon Lane.
But
That's the proposal.
I
But you're
just-
right. I understand what you're saying, that the issue is what happens if you have a moving van or a major delivery and the last block of Cumberland, how would a truck turn around and go back up Cumberland and exit Cumberland? I looked at, for example, Drummond, because as you know, Drummond has no exit. But Drummond is a bit wider than
Yeah, it's a
Cumberland.
lot wider.
And it actually has at the bottom, it has a little bit of extra space
Yeah.
to do I presume a 17-point turn.
So I guess
Anyway,
my
yeah.
question is, what do we do
Yeah,
to
so
shore up
Let
Devon
me-
Lane?
yeah,
I'm
let me-
sorry.
let's turn to Robert.
Yeah, and I would like to refer to the Public Services Committee. One thing that is hinted at in the letter is, at least one company has smaller trucks and this is moving, furniture, and the smaller trucks were appropriate for Devon Lane. And the question is, can we get a message out to contractors if it's more possible to use smaller trucks in town? And that would be research for the Public Services Committee to find out if that is possible. Because I agree, turning around large trucks, if we could, one street is not a solution.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, they do, when you're getting furniture delivered, I mean, they will say, like, do you have any barriers to entrance? And, you know, are we able to take a giant truck? And, I feel like most of them kind of know around Chevy Chase neighborhoods, like, they're pretty tight. But, you know, I think that that would maybe, you know, just a reminder for people to like request like smaller trucks or something. And then, you know, when we have new houses that are being built or something, to just try to figure out like the best way that they can kind of use that street, but it's
Well,
challenging.
What would a cement truck do? You know, what would those big lumber truck, those guys that come with the big lumber? You know, they have to go. Well, you know, some moving trucks, as you said, can give us a smaller truck. But I think the committee needs to take a look at this because I don't think we're in any position to figure this out.
Yeah, you
okay.
can cut across, you know, on Surrey. So it's Warwick, Surrey, and Devon Lane are like the three
Yeah.
touch points.
Yeah, but you gotta get up to Surrey if you're at the, let's say you're delivering to the
Yeah.
bottom of
Yeah.
of
Okay.
Cumberland.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think it's clear we are referring this matter to the Public Services Committee, adding to their list of things to look at. And we,
Only need 6 meetings, huh?
yeah, you might need a seventh one. So I think we will refer this to the committee. We'll look forward to having some recommendations from the committee on how to address this concern regarding safety. This is both the safety of people, but also safety of property issue that's been raised here. Okay, very good. I think we've reached the end of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anybody objecting to this? Or do I have a
No.
second? There's nobody seconding that.
Second,
Second.
sorry.
Second,
All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
thank you.